Okay, I guess we'll skip Musa. That
you said the D words, Yaakov. You said the D word. That's it. I hit record.
You having a minion tomorrow?
I don't think so. I don't have a minion.
Because you got Punja. I don't know about Machol.
No, Michael J doesn't. Punja, yeah, but that's it.
I hear you. Okay. Well, I guess we'll give it another minute, so we'll learn after some Musa. I'm in the wrong. I'm in Igros Moshe and I'm looking for the place. Yeah.
Did you find the place?
Well, I was in Igros Moshe, so I realized.
I'm saying, did you find the place? Because that would
now
be
I'm finding. Yeah, now I'm finding the place. Yeah, one more person. Depends how you trim it.
And to the front. Are you ready?
Midas and Nadivas Tuluya Behergo. Right? The Midas of Nadivas is totally in doing it often. You have to be a giver. In order to be labeled as a nadiv, you have to be a giver at all times. Right? According to your capability of it. So somebody gives 1,000 gold coins to somebody at one time, to somebody who needs it. He's not the same nadiv. Somebody who gives 1,000 zuz 1,000 times. A gold coin to each and every person that's right to him. The guy that gives 1,000 at one time, he keeps on having a hisayrus to be a menadiv. Then I'm sorry, the other way. If the guy that gives $1,000 or 1,000 gold coins at once, so he has a temporary inspiration, and then it goes away. Right? So somebody rather give small amounts to more people and more times than to give a large amount at one time, which is in halacha is a shayla, right? You have a lot of money to give out, so should you give it all out to one person or should you spread it around? So it seems like the psak is to give $1, rather than give $1 to 10 people than $10 to one person, which I personally, in my puny brain, don't clearly get that, because what's $1 going to do? What's $1 going to do for 10 people? Right, $10 for one person might help him out, but $1 for that. Okay, but it seems like halacha tells you not like that, and this Musar also tells you not like that. Like this, you're constantly giving. You're giving much more often. Okay, fine. Now we can start. Okay, so we're on Yudam and Aleph. Amar Abai, mamish exactly halfway down. In the Ran where it says Mishna, in the Ran where it says the word Masnisin, that's what we're up to. So we got finished saying yesterday that the Chassidim who never did anything wrong, Chassidim Arishanim who never did anything wrong, wanted to bring a korban chataas. So how do you bring a korban chataas if Hashem makes it that they never do any mistakes? Again, a korban chataas comes from making a mistake, not doing an avera on purpose. So these Chassidim, since Hashem takes care of them, they never did avera by mistake. So they never had opportunity to bring a korban chataas. Right? So therefore, they wanted to bring a korban chataas. So what they do? So they made themselves nazirs. That's the way Rabbi Yehuda says. Rabbi Shimon says exactly the opposite. No. Becoming a nazir is a chet unto itself. So it means that they did not become a nazir because they did not want to do a chet. Right? Yeah, so there was a Ran that I forgot. What did he? not remembering it now. Like why we thought that the reason why the Chassidim want to bring the korban chataas, they can get in all the mitzvahs, right? So the Ran says that is a different pshat, but of course I can't find it now.
Supposed to remind you is of Aaron before before the Matan Torah. There was something yesterday at the end of the day.
Yeah. He's not on, but we'll get to it. We're gonna discuss it. Okay.
No, he can't get on. He just called me. I don't know why he can't get on. So this thing is spinning.
Probably his internet's down, so tell him to call in. Okay, so anyway, so then we should have said Reb Shimon said not like that. So Amar Abaye, yeah, it's about 10 lines up from where the Mishna starts, or right next to where Mishna starts in the Ran. Yeah, so it says Amar Abaye, Shimon Tzadik, Reb Shimon, Reb Elazar, Hakfar, Kulan Shita Achasein, they all have one opinion, which is the nazir chayta havi. So anybody who makes themselves into a nazir is a chayta. Right? So you can't make yourself into a chayta. And a nazir did a chet. Why? We'll see. So Shimon Tzadik, Reb Shimon Hadamar, we already said that. Shimon Tzadik said, you shouldn't make yourself a nazir because it's a high risk thing that you end up messing it up. And Reb Shimon, we just said also that Chassidim did not want to make themselves nazir. Rabbi Elazar Kfar Beribi said to Tanya, Rabbi Elazar Kfar Beribi, right? The passuk by Nazir says, and he has to bring a korban because of a chet. What kind of chet? What did he do a chet? The Nazir has to bring did a chet against the nefesh? What does he have to do that for? What he did is he caused himself, this is very good for the drinkers out there. Right? I hope Peretz is listening. The reason why he did a chet is because he stayed away from wine. Right? Meaning, and that's a chet. He held, what do you call it? He withheld a enjoyment from himself, and therefore he's considered a chet.
If you do that over a shalosh regalim, if you do that over a regular, isn't there v'samachta b'chagecha with basar and yayin?
Correct.
So is there a special?
That's a double chet. You're saying that's a double chet.
Yeah.
L'chayra, you're right. I think you're right. That would be a double chet, right? But you see from this Gemara that there's an inyan to enjoy yourself. Very difficult concept for guys to understand. For kids nowadays, they tell you, Torah, you gotta be, stay precious away from Olam Hazeh, and then you have these Gemaras that tell you when you make a siyum, have a party, right? And when you're supposed to drink wine, okay, but that's what it's saying. And then the Gemara says, so this nazir, the only thing he withheld from himself was yayin, nikra chayte, he's still called like he did a chet. Or somebody who makes himself bitzar from everything, then for sure he should be stressed out. From this we learn out that anybody who sits in tainus is called a chayte because he's abstaining, he's withholding enjoyment from himself. Yeah.
I had trouble getting on. I'm sorry, I'm late. Anyway,
yeah.
So why? I mean, why was Rav Steinman held up as the paradigm of tzidkis? If he just ate a stale piece of challah every day,
it's a good. It's very hard. It is very hard to. Yeah, I don't know. It's very hard to understand that.
And wasn't there the rabbi they ate one piece of buxer from one week to another?
No, I'm talking about somebody in our life. I'm not talking about from the Gemara. Somebody who died 5 years ago.
Right. Mamish, yeah, it's coming up actually. I don't know how to understand it because they talk about precious. Elamai, there needs to be the only way to understand it needs to be a balance, and everybody has to know for themselves what's considered enjoyment and what's not. I guess. How about tainus? So a lot of times you say it's good to sit in a tainus, and I hear the Gemara saying that you're a chayte for fasting too.
Right. We're not saying wine is the universal happiness thing here.
What?
Wine is the happiness for everybody. No, isn't that what we're saying?
Yeah. But some people listen. I don't enjoy wine at all. You give me wine. I promise I don't drink wine. Am I going to get punished? I never have. I'm a kiddush. I have
So
wine.
I'm saying, so if you would become, I'm saying, if you'd become a nazir, it's a sin for you. That's a chait.
It sounds like that. It doesn't say for non-wine drinkers. No,
What do you do, Chalamite?
I eat hot dogs.
You don't have the Revius wine.
Not usually.
Yes.
Okay,
Two
so at least
hot
I'll be in
dogs
good
and
company.
equals 1 Revius wine, Naftali.
Okay, at least I'll be in good company.
Look at the shiurim. Look at the shiurim. Yeah.
Yeah. So I no, it's a difficult concept. It is difficult because there is such a thing as you also have the tinus haravid. You ever heard of that? That's where the Ravid says if you don't finish the food on your plate and you stop eating in the middle, that's mamish, like a big madrega. That's like fasting. I don't even know how many fasts. The way the Mishnah Berurah brings it, right? Yeah. So I don't know. It's a hard concept to understand. But then so the Gemara says, but that passuk that says that a nazir did a chet is by a nazir tameh. It's not by your standard nazir. There all these shitas are saying that a nazir is considered a chayte because he did a chet by being a nazir. But that passuk that says chet is when he messed up because he became tameh. So how do you understand that a regular nazir should be doing a chet? So what I answer is also like a deep psychological teretz. Mishum de shana bechethu. The reason is because he did a chet a second time. Right? Meaning he did a chet for making himself a nazir in the first place, and then he did a chet on top of a chet by botching his frumkeit that he did. Right, so that's what it's saying. It was like Avero Guerreras Avero almost. Right, by him, and it's really coming from the extra passuk. Now that I think about it, somebody was just texting me before. He wants to burn his nails. He wants to burn his nails after he cuts his nails. And his mother said he should ask the question, should he burn his nails? And I said, why can't you burn the nails? She says, and the mother thinks it's parish min hatzibur. So I told him, yeah, it is. I mean, it's not, halachically, it's not considered parish min hatzibur, but why are you being like that? The whole world flushes their nails or down the sink, whatever, and that's fine. So I think you're much better off learning during that time. You guys gonna make a campfire to burn his nails. What's he gonna do? Or burn it in the stovetop, or his mother's trying to make Shabbos? I don't know. You know what I mean? So you misplace one frumkeit and then you botch that. So then, yeah. I don't know if that's exactly a mashal. Now there was one kasha, and I forgot to say it yesterday, but Yaakov. So we said that tzadikim don't make nedarim, right? They don't become nazirs. They don't make nedarim. Yaakov Avinu. It's coming up. What was it, about 4 weeks from now? He made a vayidar Yaakov neder, like we discussed last night after the daf. But when he was going to meet Esav, he made a neder that if everything is going to be safe, then he's going to give Maisa, right? So you see that you could make a neder. All right, so the Rishonim all asked this kasha.
When he was going to love him.
I was loving, I'm sorry. Did I say Esav? Yeah. So yeah. Oh, very good. So that's what we said last night. We were hoping you would log on. The Shita Mekubetz's teretz it was Kaidam Matan Torah. So he could have done it. Very good, right? That's the Shita Mekubetz's. Others saying the way the Shulchan Aruch paskin is that Beis Tzara, somebody is allowed to. Is that did I do it on the halacha text yesterday? I think so, right? If somebody has an ace tzara, then they're allowed to make a neder. But again, here's the thing, and you
right. You didn't say ace tzara. You said it's in special
time of need. I don't want to write
right time of need. Yeah.
So I actually looked into it because I never understood, because it says that if you're going to give tzedakah, but tonight that something happens. I mean, if you're going to do a mitzvah, but tonight that something happens, that's awesome, right? So then why was Yaakov Avinu doing this? So basically what comes out is that to do the mice of the mitzvah first on the condition that Hashem does something for you, that's not allowed, other than for tzedakah. This is the opposite. This is if something good happens, then you'll do a good mice. Right? That's different. I didn't realize this till yesterday. It's much different. It's a much different thing. So the Shulchan Aruch says that the Ramah says that that's okay to do. You could say that if something good happens to me, then I will do a ma'asim tovim. However, you're not getting the Tzaddik of the Year award, because that means you're doing a mitzvah al manas to get a prize, which is not the lichatchila. That's not the lechatchila way of being. Right? You're supposed to do mitzvahs because you're supposed to do mitzvahs, not for reward. Right? Fine. Okay. Suck the Mishna. Yeah. And that was yesterday's neder shy. Like I think I put it on the chat where the lady said she was about to have a C-section. She made a neder, but she hasn't kept the neder. So the neder was that she's going to wear stockings always. Whatever. If it wasn't Friday, it was quite.
So what's the question? Whether she has to be matter the neder or whether she has to do it? She hasn't been doing it.
Pasha says she has to do it. However, she said it. Right?
Can her husband nullify it when he finds out?
She didn't know it was going to be 70 degrees November 5th. That's
the what?
She didn't know it was going to be 70 degrees November 5th. That's
right. I guess, right? That could be a good heter for to be mataneder. Yeah. What are you saying, Avi?
Her husband can nullify it once he hears about it.
No, that's true, but I think he heard about it already. I think. So I don't know if he did.
It's all his fault. It's all his fault.
What?
It's all his fault.
Well, it's always his fault.
Yeah. Anyways, okay.
Can't she always be matter neder even afterwards?
Yeah, but the question is, she has to have a good reason. You can't just be, by the way, matter neder, you can't just walk over to a rabbi and say, hey, I made a neder. You got to have a good excuse. So you have to have a pesach. You have to have something. Now, her neder for covering her feet with stockings might just be halacha, might not even be neder, depending on the community that you live in. Right? Yeah. So it might not, she may not even, whatever. We don't want to go down that road now. Yeah, but okay, fine. So Zok the Mishna. Yeah, now we get into all the different terminologies of these are not yodas. Now we're up to what's the name for these? Kinuyim. These are kinuyim, right? These are kinuyim, right? So I'm a lechaveiroi, kainam, kainach, and kainas. Right, hareyulu kinuyim the korban. Those are all different terminologies for a korban. Meaning he's not bringing a korban. He's making a neder and says that I'm not going to eat, let's say, by my friend's house, and it's as if it's a kainam to me. So that's like a korban. It's my friend's food will be unto me like a korban, which normal people can't eat korbanos. So then it's out for him. Chorach, hareyulu kinuyim lecherem. That's a kinuy for cherem. Right now, cherem, we said there's two types of cherems. There's cherems at the Beis hamikdash, and then the stam and neder. So we were, that's another thing that came up today. My son's in South Fallsburg Yeshiva. We said that Rabbi Kiva Eger, I don't know, did we mention it? That Rabbi Kiva Eger, I don't know if we mentioned it. Rabbi Kiva Eger says, like, we don't do cherems nowadays. Well, my son told me they just put a guy into cherem in South Fallsburg Yeshivas. I'm not the yeshiva, but somebody's a whole din going on. The guys in cherem. Some guys listen and some guys don't. Some guys go within 4 hours of him, some guys don't. I don't know. They don't have Israeli elections there, so they got to entertain themselves with other things. That's cherem. Nazik, naziach, and paziach, harayil kinoyin lenazirus. That's you can make yourself a nazir using those 3 terms: shvusa, shkuka, and neder. B'maihi harayelu kinuyin l'shvua. Neder b'maihi is the kinuyin shvu. Now neder b'maihi is very interesting, which is maihi is a lashon, is a nickname for Moshe Rabbeinu. Now why we're using nicknames for Moshe Rabbeinu, I have no idea. Right? Who
calls him Mohi? I don't.
Maybe his siblings. Maybe Aaron HaKohen called him Mohi.
His pickup basketball games, they used to call him Mohi.
Yeah, maybe that was his screen name.
Right.
Okay, Hashem should be my. I'm saying I don't know.
Right. Yeah, I'm sorry. Okay, fine.
Yeah. So the Ran says Kinoy l'Moshe b'shvuas Moshe. You can say by Yoel Moshe. Right. So that's like if he says a neder, a neder. So if he says a neder with mahi, then that's a kinuy to shvua. We'll see in the Gemara exactly what that means. Fine. So idmar kinuyin. We had this Machlokes way back on Daf Gimel. Kinuyin. Who made up these kinuyin? Who made up these nicknames? Meaning, is it just random, or were there specific nicknames? So Rabbi Yochanan Amar Lashon Umma saying, no, they're not specific. That's Lashon of nations, meaning that's the local sprach how they would say. People say, oh, like we said the other day, if you say something's cool, you say something's sick, everybody has their terminologies. So those are the terms that people use to make things forbidden to themselves. That's the way Rabbi Yochanan learns it. No, these are specific terms that the Chachamim chose to be the shyness of nedarim. It says in the passuk, in the chaydesh that he chose in his heart. Okay, so the time of my Rabanan. Yeah.
I just realized, before the Muhammad and all the yeshivas, they used to call the Bachram by the name of their city. Yankel of Warsaw, and they would all have those names. They would have names like that. Here and Brisk, all the big yeshivas, they would call them by the shtetl where they came from.
I mean, they went by their last name.
That was a city name.
Maybe. I hear. Maybe. That's interesting. Okay, so anyway, the time of my Tekina Rabbanan Kinuyim, why did the Rabbanan make Kinuyim for? Why couldn't you just why couldn't a guy just say, I'm not eating by the Kiddush because I'm on a diet and I'm treating the food like a korban, right? That sounds fine. That's a regular standard neder. Why do you have to start with kainam and this and that? So the Gemara said, the Chacham did not want people using the word korban. The lema korban. Okay, so then let him say korban. What's wrong with saying the word korban? Dilma amar korban lashem, because he may say it's a korban lashem. Now that's already a big problem, right? Because now he's making something into hektish, right? Okay, so then he said the lema korban lashem. So what's wrong with saying korban lashem? So the Gemara says, really, there's nothing wrong because that's not in his head. Like we're thinking that maybe he's making a korban lashem. He's not making korban lashem, right? So let him say korban lashem. No, dilma amar lashem, because then he might forget the korban is going to say lashem, right? So what? The loy amar korban, and he's not going to say the word korban, but kamafik shem shemayim levatala. He's going to end up saying Hashem's name levatala, which we learned twice this week in the Gemaras. We learned that it's a very bad thing to say Hashem's name levatala, which we discussed. That's why some people don't make all the extracurricular brachas, because you don't want to be making a bracha if it's not required. Okay, fine. So that's why the Chachamim made kinuyim. The Tanya Reb Shimon Omer on top of Beis. Now, minayin shaloi Omer Adam Lashem Oila Lashem Mincha Lashem Toida Lashem Shlamim. When somebody is taka making korban or making something hektish, he should not say Lashem this, right? How do you know that you shouldn't do it? Meaning, because if you say Lashem and then you get a phone call, or you get a text or a WhatsApp, right? And then after you say the word Lashem, you check, and now you said Lashem levatala. Tamalar korban Lashem, because the passuk says it's a korban Lashem. So therefore, that you see that you're supposed to say the word korban first and not Lashem, right? Except on the Yom Kippur, the Kohen Gadol does say, right? Lashem chataas. Okay, that's a kasha. This guy who's really only saying Hashem's name because of a korban, he should still say korban Lashem, so he doesn't end up messing up after the word Lashem. You have to be very careful just to be mentioning Hashem's name, levatala. Right? So fine. So then the Gemara says, let's say that the Machlokes between Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish is a Machlokes Tanoi. I mean, again, Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish are a Machlokes whether who made up Kinuyim. Was this just terminology from foreign languages, or was it terminology from that the Chacham chose? So let's say it's a Machlokes Tanoi. Why B'Shamay or Kinuyin Asurin? A Kinuy of a Kinuy, meaning once removed Kinuyim will also make neder. No, kinui of kinuyin are mutter. So what's their machlokes? My love, mandamar kinui kinuyin asurin. The one that says that nicknames of nicknames, or whatever, the additional terminology is lashon umas hein. It's a lashon of umas, right? So meaning, and therefore, as long as the nations are using these terms for nedarim, so then it's going to be a neder. Who cares if it's a kinoi or a kinoi of a kinoi? But but the one that says mutter kasav lashon shabadul and chum, it's only the kinuyim are only what the chum chose. If the chum chose this, they chose this, and not. So that's what the Gemara thinks, that the same machlokes Riyach and Rish Lakish is the same machlokes Beishamai and Beis. Gemara says, "Like the kuliyam kinuyim lashon umas," saying no, everybody holds that it's lashon of umas, and whatever terminology is used is used. Beishamai sabri b'haninam mishtay umas. Beishamai said that the nations also use these terms. The kinuyim of the kinuyim, they also use. They don't talk, which I find very interesting. That means Beishamai and Beisil, according to this, are having a machlokes of what the nations use as terminology for nedarim. And let's just go out and they're having a machlokes in the mitzias. Right? So I'm not sure. Okay, Beishamai sabri gazrinon kinoi kinuyin. We do make a gezer of kinoi kinuyin mishum kinuyin because of kinuyin, meaning since kinuyin are also, so kinuyin of kinuyin also Beisil sabri like gazrinon kinoi kinuyin mishum kinuyin. We don't make a gezer of kinuyin
that bothers you.
Kinuyin.
That bothers you, that machlokes. We had a machlokes a few weeks ago. What they did in the Beis hamikdash, and
That's not
was one of them.
That's not a machlokes in mitzias.
How's that not mitzias? What they did?
Naftali, if me and you have a machlokes, whether it's sunny outside, so one of us can go outside and see if it's sunny.
Right. Okay.
So that's so here too. So go see if that's if you hold of the umas, then go see if the umas are using that.
So you're saying mitzias right now is opposed to mitzias in 2 generations ago.
Yes.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. Okay, so the Gemara says, "Heichidami kinu." Okay, here we go. A lot of words. Heichidami kinuye in the nedarim. Tani Rabbi Yosef, maknama, maknachna, maknasna. Heichidami kinuye in the cherem, and this tani mafsha, right? You can't. This again. I have to put this out there for the sense of humor of the Gemara. Did you ever hear of a tana mafsha? Rashi says the name. But amongst all these confusing words I could hardly pronounce, they put in a Tana whose name you also could hardly pronounce. Right? Just an interesting thing. So Tani, that's for you, Rabanan. Right? So Tani.
Yeah. Rashi doesn't even say Shem Amayra, he just says Shem Chacham.
Shem Chacham, yeah, it's very interesting. Very interesting. You don't know, is it Amayra? Is it a Tana? I mean, it's a Tana. Tani, no, I don't know. I'm not sure. Okay, so anyway, he says Charakim.
Maybe he's a Tana that went to college. That's what I didn't say. He was a Tana.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So Tani Mafsha, Charakim, Charafim. Okay, Kinui in the Naziros, Tani Rabbi Yosef, Machasna, Manchasna, Mafichna. I have no idea if I pronounce this correctly or not. Ibailu, Mifchazanamai. What about Mifchazana? Mischazanamai, Misazanamai. Amalei Ravino Ravashi, Kinmamai. What about kinma? Kainam ka'amar, is that like a kainam? And it's a neder. Aiduma kinman b'shem ka'amar. It's a cinnamon, kinman like the cinnamon, and it's kinman baisam. A good smelling cinnamon. Is that what he's saying? Which means it's not a neder. So Amar le Rav Achabreda Rav Hillel Ravashi, kina mai. What about he says a kina? Kina shatana garland ka'amar. Did he mean a chicken coop? Aidoma lashon de kainam, or did he mean kainam? So tibai, so it's tibai. It's a shaila, which we said. Taisa said on a blot ago that tibai in nedarim, since nedarim has all different terminologies, tibai is the equivalent of a teiko in nedarim. It's teiko on this. Okay, kinoi in the shvua heichidami. How about a kinoi of a shvua? So we say shavuel, shapsuel, shkakua. Gemara says shavuel ben gershon mashma. That sounds like it's talking about Shmuel, the son of Gershon, who was the son of Moshe. Right? So what's the kasha? You're not going to make somebody have a Shmuel by a person's name. Ella, Shmuel, Shkusua, Shkukuel.
Wasn't that Mahi that we had in the Mishnah?
But that's a nickname. No, but let's see in the next line. So on the 2 lines. Amar Shmuel, Amar Ashvisa, Loi Amar Klum. If one said Ashvisa, he didn't say anything. Ashkika lo yamar klum. He said Ashkika, he didn't say anything. Krishna lo yamar klum. Krishna, he didn't say anything. Meaning these are all not phrases that would say nazir. Fine. Now what's with this mahi business? Neder b'mahi hareyu kinui. He makes a neder by mahi, which is Moshe Rabbeinu. And these are kinuyim. So Tanya Rav Shimon Gamliel Omer b'mahi lo yamar klum. If he says I'm making a shavua by Maihi, he didn't say anything, right? Because all that just means it's just okay. Let's Shiloh whether Taisa says he's really disagreeing with our Mishnah, but he's saying b'maihi he didn't say, he said nothing, right? But b'mumsa the amar mai. But if he says with the mumsa that maihi said, meaning the neder that Moshe Rabbeinu said, then it is a kinui hashua, right? Meaning so just mentioning it. That's nothing because you're just saying a name. But you say with the mumsa that he made, then that's enough, right? And yeah, fine. Okay, so we'll stop over here. Tomorrow night, Beis Hashem, what do we say? 7:15, 7:20? What do we say? 7:20?
I think it's at 7:20.
7:20.
we
It's
said,
7:20.
Yeah. All right. Fine. Everybody should have themselves.
Have a good Shabbos.
Thank you. Have a good Shabbos, everyone.
Shabbos. Rafe, everybody should feel good. I mean to call you to see how it's going, but all right. Yeah.
We're leaving Wednesday. We're flying out Wednesday.
Oh yeah?
Okay.
Okay. All right. It should be good. It should be with Hatzlacha.
Amen. Amen. Have a good Shabbos.
Have a good Shabbos.
Thank you.
Shabbos.
Have a good Shabbos.
Shabbos.
Shabbos.